welcome to Mystery of the Soul. I'm your co-host Leo, a psychic medium, a Reiki master, an EFT tapping practitioner, and a shaman. I'm joined by my good friend Julia, a doctor of physical therapy, yoga instructor, and Reiki master. Our podcast explores the depth of the soul, the spiritual, and the supernatural. Hi guys, welcome back to Mystery of the Soul. This is Leo, and I have my co-host Julia with me.
Hi everyone, welcome back. And don't forget, if you like the show, please like, subscribe, share, all those good things. Thank you.
And so tonight we have a guest, priestess Melissa Maligno. And Melissa, I'm going to turn it over to you and tell us a little bit about yourself, and as you tell us what a priestess is and what that represents.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm priestess Melissa Maligno of Enchanted Dragonfly, which we are a metaphysical shop at 99 Church Street in Whitensville, Massachusetts. And I hold classes, events. I sell handmade wares, handcrafted wares. And I started that as a community through the events that I hold and the shop that I opened to serve my community, to give them a safe space, give them a place where they can have a voice, be seen, be heard. They can speak safely. Sometimes some people don't have a place to go to actually just speak authentically. And for me, that's how I am a priestess, by serving my community, and also how I serve just life in general, how I live my life, how I treat the earth, the universe, live in harmony with everything that's around you, deities, having a fire, being on a podcast, and just being in harmony and teaching people to be in that centered space, kind of grounded, and to learn to be a little bit still. Sometimes we'll go, go, go. And it's nice to just stop and be still. So that's how I serve and be a priestess to my community.
What is, Melissa, what is the journey? What is your journey, I guess, to being a priestess? What does that look like for people?
For me, I started learning that I had almost like a gift or an ability to do things when I was really young. I would have premonitions when I started when I was like 5. I would start to astral project when I was 7 to 15. And it was really scary because you're a little kid and these things are happening. And I started to try to learn about it. So I learned about the metaphysical world, which was the magical world, this whole plane of existence where you don't see it, but or not in the common sense that you would see it, but you can see someone's aura with their chakra, but you need photography to see it, but it's the energy's there. And I kept just learning about it, reading books. I recommend Scott Cunningham. I love all of his books. Unfortunately passed a long time ago. Reading about chakras and Reiki and energy and rhythm and the 7 hermetic principles, which is a big part of my priestess practice. And then just kept working with these energies. The more I learned about them, I learned to heal with herbology and with energy. And I'm not a Reiki practitioner, but I know how to work with certain energies to give people that space. And sometimes it's not healing their body. Sometimes it's the space that I create. And I learned a lot about that by holding events at my shop. I wasn't aware that I could always do that until I started just offering space for people to come into. And next thing I know, I have this little community that I engage with on a regular basis, and they're great. And we just had a market, so that was great. And everybody was there, and there was customers throughout the whole day. I was so happy for everybody because we all did well. So it was good that it was just that nice flow, but it was a community. Everybody knew everybody when they arrived, and I know a lot of these people already knew each other, so it was a little space again I created. So that's a lot with my path in priestesshood, and I'm able to take what I know and teach it to other people. I create classes. A lot of them I try to make hands-on. we have like a witch hat class, and I teach the history of the witch hat, why it's used, how to use it, and then we make one. We have a witch hat, and we decorate it with all sorts of like little flowers and herbs and little vials of salt filled with wax and things, moss and stuff like that, and and then they bring the hat home with them. But they learned about the hat. It's not just a craft project, so I teach classes like that, and again, community space. So yeah, that's what my path looks like for me. So a lot of it is like a servitude, and a lot of it is knowledge, and you have to learn all of these things about all of these things, right? You got the physical plane, you have the astral plane, you have the plane where people believe fairies exist, but we don't see them, but we don't always see wolves either, and we know they exist. So it's it's just this fascinating place to know about and learn about. So I say keep learning. That's what my journey looks like for me. You guys,
Melissa, what you said you had experiences when you were a child, like
mhm.
premonitions, and can you tell us a little bit more about maybe one of those experiences? Maybe a little
Sure.
bit more detail, something you feel comfortable sharing.
Yeah.
Just from for me, I'm very inquisitive.
Mm.
I like to find out information, and I know a lot of our listeners, they're probably like me, like I know nothing. Like I know things, but really like when it comes down to it, like there's a lot that we don't know, and
Right.
I'm happy to share that. I'm happy because I want
Yeah.
to learn more. So,
Yeah.
um yeah, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Absolutely. Um, when when I said I had premonitions when I was 5, the first time it happened was I was at my grandparents' house in Sutton with my both my parents and my brother, and I went upstairs to the den area with my grandfather and my dad, and we stopped in the hallway and looked at the picture that was on the wall going into the den, and it was of my grandparents. And I looked away, I looked back, and it was just this image of my grandfather's head. His hair was all messed up, and he had this wild eyed look on his face like he was startled or scary, and the head was floating, and behind his head, it was like squiggly lines, like when a TV station goes out, it was red and white, and then would flicker blue and white, and then back to red and white, and it would keep alternating like that. And it was just this like creepy thing that happened. I freaked out. I'm 5. So I screamed, ran in, got my dad. He came back, picked me up. It was back to my grandparents. I looked away, looked back. It was again my grandfather. So a few years later, he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's? Yes. I'm tired. But I had a premonition that he was going to get that. And that's why he had that face in the picture like that. That was his look on his face because you don't understand what's going on. It's confused. And so that is an example about that. The astral projecting, when I was like 7 to maybe 15, I would have these dreams where I would be floating towards the open window. It didn't matter where I was sleeping, either my house or my grandparents or friends. I would constantly have the same dream. And I was afraid to go out the window because I was going to get lost. Like it's this big open sky. It was like the universe. You see the reds and the purples and blues and the stars and everything. And I would wake up and I would feel the popcorn sailing on my face. And then I would feel myself like plop down back on the bed. I don't think my body was levitating, but I feel like my soul was levitating because I was fighting to not go astral project out the window. So those are like 2 major experiences that really stick out in my mind because it was like the first time for both of these things. And I was like, what is happening right now? But then I learned about it and I'm able to work with it now instead of run from it and scream away.
Did you have someone that you knew that kind of helped you work through some of these like fears and the unknown, or was it something that you did more investigating research on your own? Like I'm curious about that because I think like
Mhm.
when I was a younger kid, like there was a lot of stuff that I'd go to like my mom, or I would go to, a trusted relative or a friend. Like,
Mm.
did you have somebody as, I would say, like an ally to you or as a
Mm.
confidant?
I had a bit of like a mentor. She was a woman Her name was Diane. I'll never forget her. She owned, or maybe not owned, but managed a metaphysical store at a mall. It was like a Spencer's, but it was also big metaphysical, and they had the incense and the cards and everything and books and whatnot, crystals. And so I went to her and I was telling her about the dream about going out the window and flopping on the bed and feeling the ceiling on my face. She's like, "Oh, you're astral projecting and you're levitating because you're trying to fight it." And I'm like just like that, just that simple. It's an explanation for it, but it made sense. And that's what I was dreaming the way she described it. So she helped a lot. And then over time, she would continue to help me. And that was my late teens, maybe early 20s. And then after that, I just kind of did everything on my own and learned what I know now, mostly on my own. I took a lot of courses, joined a couple of traditions in a temple, and was able to learn like a lot, like something I never would even think of. Some of the stuff I can't say on here, but it's fascinating. The metaphysical world, it's all energy and rhythm and vibration and how it moves and fluctuates and goes through whatever. It's either a person or, you know, a fire or a flame on a candle or something. It's just fascinating, and you just keep learning. And yeah, so those really stick out in my mind.
Do you still have moments where it's scary?
Yeah. Like sometimes I'll see like a little shadow, almost looks like a little animal, like scurrying like past me, and it's about the size of a cat. And I mean, my two cats are over there, but I'm like, and I keep seeing it out the corner of my eye, but it makes me jump. Like, what the hell is that? Right? And then you go over, there's nothing there, but so sometimes I just think it's, you know, that plane of existence. I'm able to see it, but I don't see what it is, and so that always scares me because it's a little eerie. It's lurking, and I don't see it. So it's watching you.
Do you feel like
Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say no, Leo, go ahead. I could keep asking questions.
Yeah. So Melissa, can you tell us a little bit like what some of like the misconceptions people might have about witchcraft?
Sure. I think the most common one is that it's evil. It's the devil's work or what have they. But you look at the similarities in a lot of the cultures and how they practice. Almost all of them have altars. A witch has an altar. The church has an altar. A temple would have an altar. So we all have these similar things that we practice. So it's just named something different. The holidays, a star, Easter, Samhain is Halloween, Yule's Christmas. You know, we have Beltane and Mabon, and you know, winter solstice and spring equinox and fall equinox. The whole thing is just it's the same thing. So how can it be, you know, evil or what have they? But the other misconception is that it's non-existent because a lot of it is unseen with the eyes in the physical form. Everybody has an aura, but you can't see it with the naked eye unless you take an aura photography or photo, and then you can see it. And you know, science has been proven the existence of energy like that by capturing the light, and so that's nice to see. But the other misconception is a lot of even if you know a lot of knowledge, one person's way is not the way or for everybody. So if somebody wants to use a blue candle to represent the sky and the sun, then let them use a blue candle. Who cares? If you say it's a yellow candle, use a yellow candle. So everybody's word and knowledge isn't law. Like, do your own thing, you know, harm thee none along the way, of course. But that's a big misconception. Anything else that doesn't really stick out in my mind, like social media, be careful. A lot of experts that aren't really teaching good things to do. You know, and a lot of stuff is closed off. There's certain practices. I mean, my feeling on closed practices is if it's really that much of a closed practice, you're not going to know about it. You're not going to be bragging about it on social media, you know. So those are big misconceptions that I would say are out there that I notice a lot.
Can you also explain a little bit to people what Wicca is and what Wicca is not?
So Wicca is a little bit different than witchcraft, where Wicca is almost like a collection. For me, it's more like a collection of like an eclectic practice. Like you have a collection of different something from this one, something from that one, and you make it your own. So that would be, for me, that would be what I would say Wicca is. And there's nothing wrong with that. Do your own thing. I think witchcraft is more of a disciplined practice where you have more of, it's not a mix of as much things. It's more of a one direction type of practice. And again, I just say that everybody's a magical practitioner because you have some people that are magical, but they're only a Reiki master, and it's not anything less than someone else who's a reverend or a high priestess or a teacher or what have you. So it's I find that those are like the differences between those practices, and I think it's awesome that there are so many out there that people are making it their own, and there's so many different things to do and ways to practice, and yeah.
What goes into a practice, Melissa? Like, what does a practice look like on a daily basis?
Your connection with, well, for me, my connection with the celestial, the divine, the universe, living that life that just honors, life, and like I try not to pollute with trash and recycle, and do my part to take care of the earth, and but that's on a daily basis. I live my life like that all the time. But just to have gratitude, um, just gratitude for having a place, being able to even do stuff like wash dishes, having that physical ability. That's big for being a practitioner, especially every day, something like that every day. Yeah, just taking care of yourself, trying to make sure that you have a full cup because you can't pour from an empty cup, and try to help somebody else. Yeah.
What, Melissa, would you say would be some of the like words that you would use to describe like the foundation of witchcraft? Does that make sense?
Yeah. like a like a description of it.
Yeah.
Um to I think a big foundation is to not use, once you have your power, to not use it to cast upon somebody else. That would be a big one for me.
Hmm.
It's, I mean, why would you gather, if you're that powerful? Why would you gather all that tools, not just the physical tools like a candle, but inside of you, and use it to harm somebody, and but also a foundation would be to honor your own self and beliefs and your boundaries. Boundaries are important for sure. Um, yeah, that would definitely be the big three I would use for a foundation for witchcraft or any practice, any practitioner.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's hard because you look back at all of the negative that surrounds, like
Yeah.
I grew up in the 90s, like 80s and 90s, and of course like the movie The Craft came out and everybody was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, they're evil. And then you started having things like Hocus Pocus, and there are some other ones that along the way I think have given like a very kind of negative
Yeah.
light. And that's the part that like I want people to like fully understand, because I have friends that I grew up Catholic, and I have certain things that I grew up in that I believe in, and there's a lot of that foundation that still exists, but there's also a part of me that understands that like the universe
Mm.
is one, but many.
Yeah.
And so creating divisiveness, I think, is one of the things that I see as one of our biggest issues, is because
Mhm.
that that separation, or that need to separate or cause people to have to choose like one versus another, I think
Mm,
creates a lot of problems. Um, so I love for people to be able to hear like there is so much light and positivity and love
mm,
in so much of what you're saying and discussing. And like that's important for me because I truly believe that if there was just more love in this world, that we would be,
yeah,
or if we were taught to just love first and then do all the other things second, that it would
mm,
be a very different world, right?
yeah,
um, but yeah, I mean, I think like that's where, some of my, I guess like I told Leo, I'm kind of like a little kid. Like, tell me more. Like, I want to know everything,
yeah.
you
It just
know?
goes so deep. All the just information regarding on whatever you're trying to learn about or read about or what have you. It just keeps going and going and going. Next thing, and when I say everything goes down to a rabbit hole, I'm not kidding. It just keeps going, but it's
Yeah.
awesome. But sometimes you can get lost in direction too. So you have to like, all right, what was I doing? Because you're researching one thing and then you learn about this. You just go down a rabbit hole for that, and you're like, oh, I'm trying to finish this first. And it's sometimes I'll be reading books and I'll be reading 2 or 3 books at a time, and I'm just back and forth, and I'm like a sponge.
So I won't just direct this at you, Melissa. Like, I'll throw this
Mm.
at you too, Leo. um, but recently I've been discussing with a lot more people that really a lot of the answers are within ourselves. Like it's deep
Mm.
within us, and we've just lost sight of that. So
Mm.
we try to go external for all the information. What do you guys think? Do you think that there's more internally, that if we really go deep within, that we'll have a
Mm.
lot of answers or the ability to understand these things? Because I do think like if you believe that we have a soul, or if you believe that we have a spirit, or whatever it is, like that exists in all these other planes and worlds, right? In
Mm.
different dimensions, and right. So if the true existence of where we are and what we come from, if that's experienced all of these different realms and dimensions and worlds and whatever it is, are there some of those answers that are just within, that we're uncovering during our time here?
I'll say just a little something about it. What
Mm.
I feel is I agree with you. A lot of the answers are from inside, but it's what I find. My own experience as people awaken, or you have these experiences that wake you up. That's when you're finally able, I think, to kind of hear the internal voices, the higher self, source, to actually tap into where some of the answers might be coming from. Um, and so I think that's kind of when we're able to kind of see that there's stuff internal that we can learn from. Um, and a lot of stuff that we learn through books that we read or people we follow, a lot of that is being channeled from source to begin with, which is coming from an internal connection, if that makes sense.
It it does to me. It does to me. Do you have
Yeah,
anything that you would add to that, Melissa, or your thoughts on it?
I agree with what you're both saying, and it's I feel like we have this. I feel like as people, we're older than what history indicates, and we have this like knowledge from way further back than what they say. But it's like you're saying, it's inside, but it's either dormant or it's blocked from us
Mm.
somehow, from the rest of us, and the rest of the way we're thinking. And like the pineal gland, it's directly on the top of the head, right in the middle, and it just meets at a point in the middle of your head. Like that's like so precise, and it's like I feel like it's like an antenna, if you will, of information of maybe we don't carry it in our mind, but we're able to connect to it, like through the universal information, and that's out there, that you just don't see, but it's out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the pineal gland might be almost like a physical anchor.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Um, did you have something else you wanted to ask, Julia?
Um, I want to ask more about the levitating thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
I mean, it's one of those things that tell me more. Like I
Okay.
used to have dreams about flying. I used to have, dreams that I could like walk upside down. I always thought like
Yeah.
maybe at some point like I was a bird.
Yeah.
I've been told that my spirit animal is a falcon. So it's I'm very interested in like this levitating thing. So tell us
Okay.
more.
All right. So, like what you're describing, it feels like you can control your levitating if you feel like you can like move yourself where you're walking around like that. Where me, it felt like I was floating and I could look down and I didn't see me lying down there. I saw just the bed I was laying on, lying down, and it was pretty high. And I'm afraid of heights. Maybe this is why. Like, so it's floating, and I feel like I'm fighting going out the window. And when I had spoken to that woman at that shop, she said to visualize tying yourself with like a cord or a rope around your waist and then to like a heavy piece of furniture so that it tethers you to the room. So even if you go exploring, the rope will move with you, but as soon as you want to go back, it will just follow the rope. And it was like I did that, and it worked. So I've been able to astral project fine now. I don't do it too often because this stuff is energy draining too. So you're exhausted after. Um, but with the levitating, when I would fight it, I would feel like I would bump the ceiling and I would just stay there. And then I would move around and I felt like I could move against something. And then I would wake up and I would feel literally the popcorn ceiling finish that's on the ceiling, like rubbing against my cheek. And I could feel it with my hands. And then as soon as I realized it, it's like I would startle and then I would drop back into the bed and just I would sit up, waking up like, what the hell was that? Like that was such a weird dream. Well, those would be my experiences with the levitation. So I learned to control that too by purposely fighting it and just seeing if I could control the levitating. And I did that, and I was able to just move about a little bit and go back down instead of just floating around like a balloon, literally like hitting the ceiling. And but now it's fine. I don't recommend doing it all the time, but it's something that we as people can do. I find that fascinating that as a person, as a woman, I'm 53 and I know how to control levitating. I can heal with energy and herbs, and I know how to astral project, and I have a good intuition, and just that healing sense and things that I'm doing. And I would never in my mind when I was like 20 think that I could do these things, but a human person and I'm able to do this stuff, and there's other people that can do other things, and I find it fascinating. Just the human abilities.
How would you help someone figure out if they're actually levitating or if they're just dreaming, or is there a difference?
Um,
I don't know. Is that
I
a valid
mean,
question?
yeah, no, it is. No, it is. I get what you're saying. I mean, for me, if I'm dreaming that specific about that experience, just feeling the ceiling and floating and seeing it around me
Yeah.
and moving around, I would feel like that it wasn't a dream. I feel like I was actually levitating. And if it was kind of a dream, I would really want to maybe start researching dreams and why all that stuff is in the dreams and what they mean, and see if it makes sense. But it's pretty
Okay.
specific dreams.
I
Yeah.
wanted
I
to
just
offer, I just wanted to offer something
yeah.
about that. So it's kind of like I want to compare it. The analogy I'm getting is like, as a medium, I talk about with people with their loved ones visiting in their dreams. And so it's kind of like a similar situation where a visit happens with a loved one. It's like a moment that's kind of present on that spiritual plane that's happening. And
Mm,
it's like the moment that you're talking about also is like a moment happening on that spiritual plane.
yeah.
Does that kind of make sense?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. It's like it's happening on multiple planes at the same time and independently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I believe that for sure. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I was just with a friend and we both happened to be sitting outside together, relaxing, and we both kind of like dozed off. And all of a sudden, she like jumped and her whole chair moved, and I was like I popped my eyes open, and we both looked at each other like, "What was that?" And she's like, "I was falling." And it
Oh
was
no.
like I've had those moments where it's like I don't know if I'm in a half state of sleep or what it is, but I'm like you get that you get that sensation like you've dropped, and
Yeah.
it jars you awake, and it's like, oh.
Yeah.
So that's where some of like my curiosity, and like I've had those things happen, and sometimes I think I'm just in like a half sleep state,
Mm.
but I've also had those moments during like at night. It's like, okay, I used to have dreams about things happening when I was a kid, and then they would actually happen.
Yeah.
And it'd be like,
Premonitions.
what was that? Like,
Yeah.
and it would be the same dream over and over again. And I remember telling my mom one day, like, I keep having this same dream over and over again. And, she said to me, she was like, did you like see it on a movie or something? And like,
Mhm.
no, because it's happening at the park next to our house. And she was like, huh. One day I was up at the park and the dream actually started like happening. And I'm watching, it was a van that was driving along. And I was like, that's not a good van. And I just
Oh,
having gathered up
oh,
all of my friends and was like, it's time for us to go. Like, let's go
yeah.
home. And I went home and I was like, Mom, my dream, the van's up at the park. And she was like, what? But it was one of those things like, it's time to go. And it
Yeah.
wasn't, for me, it wasn't super scary because I knew what was happening and I knew what to
Mm.
do, but it was really very interesting. So I don't have that stuff happen very often, but
Mhm.
like it does.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
but
Melissa, you have a daughter that's
Mhm.
affiliated with your shop, right?
She used to be. She has gone off and started doing her own thing.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Um, I was just curious about how it was, if you want to talk about it a little bit, like parenting, with
mm,
the lifestyle,
So I remembered to make sure we both remembered that I'm your mom first.
right?
Then that I'm your friend second, and then I'm not her boss or her competition. She was just her own small business selling in my shop, doing her own thing. So it helped keep that relationship balanced to we would still do, family outings and get-togethers outside of that, and when we would celebrate, or sometimes if we would have family time, we would try to keep it separate. All right, it's family time, so don't talk about the shop or whatever, and just keep it separate. So that helped keep with the balance of it. And now that she's doing her own thing, she's just got her own business. She's online. She's doing events, so uh, she's doing pretty good with that. So I give her like the tools or help whenever she needs it. But you give your kids life to go live life, so go live your life and support her how I can. Yeah, so it's been pretty good.
Good.
what's one, maybe two things in terms of witchcraft that you would like love to see everyone just have as part of like their daily practice?
Hmm. um, say their gratitudes, what they're grateful for. Um, Even physical ability to do houseworks. Be grateful that you can wash your clothes and fold your laundry and vacuum and
Hmm.
clean whatever, kitchen, dishes, etc. Your home, um, and also I would like to see a lot of people get creative with their practice. If you're gonna light candles or just celebrate, we're in Aries full moon. Happy full moon, by the way.
Mhm.
Which was started last night, but it was still in the energy. But I'd like to see more people celebrate the full moon and have little, like, their candles out with their crystals and their herbs and their oils, and make an oil during the full moon. Have your craft, like, get literally crafty with it and have fun with the ingredients for everything, and just setting it all up and getting prepared to putting it together is like a ritual in itself. I love to see more people do that too.
What is that kind of full moon ceremony? Like, what does that symbolize for you? Like, what's the purpose of that for people who haven't experienced it or don't understand what you're sharing?
Um, for me, the full moon energy would be a time to, like, I've been building up these manifestations and to release those into the cosmos to become, so to speak. And so I would do that with under the full moon energy, like a night like tonight. I would light a candle, maybe have some oils and crystals around it, some herbs around it, and just connect with the Aries energy as well, with his fiery and passion, but sometimes can be loud too. I'm married to an Aries full-blooded Sicilian guy, so he's really loud all the time. So, but that he represents that Aries energy like 100%. So you get loud, and so that I try to be loud, like speak out loud with that candle burning, so the universe is listening. Yeah, I'm outside on my deck right now, so I could say it out loud, like sell all my tickets to my class. I'm manifesting that happens. Something, for example, like that. And so that's how I would like connect with that energy for sure. Yeah.
What can you talk a little bit about your shop, if we can go back to talking about your shop for a second? But like, what is your goal with your shop? What are the things that either you're offering now, and then what do you want to see happen with that? And then also, if you want to get into the podcast a little bit too, you can do that.
Oh, thank you. Sure. So my shop is doing pretty well. So we grew as a metaphysical shop where we carry more items for people to use for their craft and their spell work and whatnot. So we'll carry a supply of candles and herbs and crystals, tarot cards, books, what have you. But I started making a lot of handcrafted wares to offer in the shop. So I started a zodiac line. So every zodiac, I'll make the charm earrings. I'll make intention candles where it captures the zodiac energy. So I cast them during that time frame of the zodiac to capture it. I'll make teas, like a tea blend, and I'll make a sugar scrub. So that's been really helpful. And the classes I've been teaching is to teach people to use like the classic everyday witch item, the hat, the broom, the cauldron, that sort of thing. And I'll teach what the item, the history of it, why it's used and how to use it, and then we'll make one. And I'll offer handcrafted wares that's like a little kit, so people can come in and have all the ingredients they need, and I'll teach them on a scroll, and I'll write everything out on the scroll. So I try to teach people with items in my shop too. My goal is to offer more sacred space events like moon circles, that sort of thing. And I want to buy a venue property that has like a parking lot and a yard, and I can hold more markets and maybe rituals like for the full moon, and have circles and that community get-togethers just to celebrate the Sarats, the moons, the whatever, somebody's birthday, whatever, just to offer that space. So that's my goal for that. My goal for my podcast is to interview every metaphysical business owner that would like to be on my podcast and tell their story about how they started their podcast, their journey, their magical path, how they started their business, how they incorporate their path into their business, that sort of thing. So I just published episode 31. So I'm excited about that. And Leo, you'll be on, and I think it's in a few weeks, right? I'm excited.
Not too far off. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. I try to do it in a different way where I'm sitting face to face with these people, and everybody, like I ask everybody the same questions, and they all have such vast different stories and abilities. It's awesome. These people are amazing.
Is there anything that you would like to bring up that you think is important for people to know about witchcraft?
But that's a good question. There's so much that.
Yeah, is there like one thing that comes to mind though that you
Yeah.
feel just guided?
One thing that comes to mind is that it's okay to be curious about it, to learn about it, to pick up the book, pick up the tarot cards, buy the candle, make your own candle. It's okay to just appreciate life and time or the moment. A lot of times that energy is for the moment. It just happens to be either a moon cycle or a Sabbath or a zodiac or something. Yeah, I would encourage everybody to, even if you're curious or you're trying to educate yourself more, just read any book that you get your hands on. Check out the runes, check out all the divination ways, and be careful with divination for sure. Be sure to physically say opening and closing a door when you're doing divination. Sometimes people leave doors open, and like the Ouija boards in the store kill me with the planchettes out and people are just moving around. And I'm just like, how many doors are open right now? But that is, be careful with that.
Can you explain that a little bit more? Because I'm going to say that's going a little over my head.
So with the Ouija boards and the pendulums?
No, with the divination.
Yeah,
Oh.
just divination tools in general.
Yeah.
So divination tools, I've used them for, like, I can only speak for myself, but I've used them to open like a communication line with, from working with a deity or just the spirits or the dragons, pendulums. Like you're saying, please come in, and they'll move the pendulum, and it's swinging, and you'd have to also say thank you, I release you, or what have you, because now you can't just walk away. The energy is still hanging around. Same when you're using, I would say to do that with everything that you're using. A scurrying mirror, where you look in the reflection and you just wait until something comes to mind. And tarot cards, it's like you're the messenger. Like a lot of these tools, it's like you're the messenger, or the tools of the messenger, or the combination. Oracle cards, runes, same thing. The Ouija board. So the Ouija board, it's the board, and it's almost like having a good sized window. I mean, the thing is like, and it's when people move in the planchette, I think that's what it's called, and it's opening a doorway or communication line, and no one's closing this, and you see them in the store, and there are people moving them around, and it's, all right, well, there's one window open, and then someone else comes around, does the same thing. There's another door opening, like no one's closing this. And so what's going on in this, the energy is still in the store, and it can attach to people. You can go
So let me just lead that into a question that I have, Melissa.
Sure.
So can you talk a little bit about spiritual boundaries and spiritual protection?
Yeah, so spiritual protection, I recommend everybody do it. And do it by either smoke cleansing, wearing a crystal, wearing a charm. I have a tattoo. It's the triquetra on my arm. You can literally tattoo it on yourself. Lighting a candle, what have you. I would recommend doing that. You can use Florida water, that kind of cleanses you, but it doesn't really protect. But I would definitely Yerba Santa. That's good for protection. For like a boundary, I would physically stand there and say, no, you're not allowed here. You don't have my permission, what have you, something like that. Just literally saying no. If you have to get nasty, tell it to fuck off, And I feel like to do that, you don't always have to have the windows and doors open, and you can do it with them closed. You can open it and it'll clear it out, of course, but it works with them closed too. But yeah, for the boundary, just like literally saying it out loud. You can visualize or literally put like a salt line. You can visualize having that around you. You can visualize doing the pentacle and then cast it out. And so that's a good way to keep up a boundary. But I think you want to be specific with what you're saying and what you're thinking. Like you literally don't want something coming on your property. Set the boundary at your property line or something, for example, you don't want anybody talking to you, set your boundary. And so I think those would be good ways to do that.
Did you have a question, Julia?
I don't know yet. I'm still taking things in.
Yeah.
See,
So-
remember what I was saying, the rabbit hole?
Yeah.
So I think I have one more question before we wrap up a little bit.
Sure.
Is there, since we're talking about rabbit holes, what is a favorite rabbit hole of yours, Melissa, that you like to go down?
My favorite rabbit hole is history, specifically ancient history. Oh, I could sit there and watch like History Channel shows and be lost to the world for a week, like just or reading books or whatever. And because I'm learning that we go way further back than the Younger Dryads in the Ice Age. We were around before that, and there was these great civilizations at that time. They found a few things that prove that, like pottery and things like that, but certain temples. But they all talk about the Great Flood, and when it was the Ice Age, there was this giant ice cap, and I believe that melted, and that caused the Great Floods, because every culture talks about the Great Flood. And I think when it did that, it wiped out a lot of our knowledge that we had, like ancient knowledge that even now we can't figure out how certain temples were built because we don't have the technology. But this was 4,000 to 12,000 years ago, So I love that rabbit hole of history. Like I love that the Ancient Aliens show. I recommend that. I recommend Ancient Apocalypse if you guys haven't seen it. He talks about his name is Graham something. He talks about the history of humans and proving that we've been around way longer and our technology was way far advanced at one time. And I just all the history channels, and they find different temples, and Unearthed is another one. Like I totally nerd out about this stuff and the history stuff, and so that rabbit hole is just so fun. And fun fact I learned about Ancient Aliens TV show, when they were trying to prove aliens, they proved other facts about history in their process. So they're coming up with proof that we are far older than what people, history, classic history thinks that we are, or says that we are. And yeah, so have fun with that rabbit hole. I recommend it. For sure.
So, Melissa, if people want to reach you for your services, your workshops, or connect with you with your shop, any events that you might want to be doing and vendor events, how do you want them to connect with you?
They can find me on my Facebook page and my website page, and it all has up-to-date information I post on there every day. The website's always updated, and it shows all our events coming up and items that we have available, services. We offer a lot of services too. I perform weddings. I performed a wedding a few weeks ago. That was so fun. And I did the whole ritual and the hand fasting, and so it was nice to be included with that. So that's like a service that I offer. They can find me that way. Yeah.
And the business is Enchanted Dragonfly, correct?
Yes. Thank you.
All right. So we will have all of that in the show notes. And thank you again for Melissa for being on with us.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, and
Melissa.
thank you guys for checking in, and stay tuned, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.
And please subscribe,
subscribe.
and share.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for listening to Mystery of the Soul. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. If you have a question, topic suggestion, or just want to say hi, we'd love to hear from you. You can visit our website at mysteryofthesoul.com. Reach us on Instagram, email us at mysteryofthesoulpodcast@gmail.com, and if you're interested in booking a session with Leo, visit his website at leojmccarthy.com.